Hello everyone and welcome back to Infantry Only Fire Emblem 4, the only Fire Emblem Let's Play series on YouTube where, dear God, I'm actually doing this into the second generation. Anyways, last time we managed to cap off the end of the first generation, completely ignoring Sigurd and the others and proving that you can do something with a very stupid idea. Now it's onward to the second generation where we gotta do all of this again for 6 more chapters. Thankfully, the second generation tends to be a lot easier than the first with optimal pairings, and, well, we work with what we got. And before we begin the second generation proper, I just want to give a huge thank you for all the great responses to the first generation's playthrough. I really had a lot of fun doing this, and the consistent response for this series has really just been wonderful to see. I'm glad you all really like this. I was trying something new here, I wasn't sure if it would really take off, but it did, and I'm really thankful for that. So, without further ado, let's end Arden's tale and begin, I don't know, Ulster's? There's not really a mascot for this run in the second generation like there was with the first. And God has decided to smile on us, because unlike Generation 1, we actually start with a handful of foot units. Seliph, Larcei, Ulster, and Lana are all foot units, so we don't have to worry about benching any of them right out of the gate. Now they're all going to be very competent at what they do. Larcei and Ulster have Dew's blood in them, giving them some decent bulk with soul and just good stats all around, and Lana is a magic demon with Ideen and Azel's blood in her veins. She has a lot of magic and also a lot of speed that'll come into play earlier. Seliph's the one that struggles a little bit, but it's not too bad. Sure, lacking the level ups from Sigurd hurts, but he's still able to do things with that silver sword and the pursuit skill, so not all is lost there. That is, until we actually try to put people in combat. Because, Larcei fucking dies. Yeah, she gets hit by both 27s from the early axe users and gets killed immediately on the first group of enemies she comes across. So, this run is letting us know right now that this will not be any easier than the first generation, even though I thought it would be. Now, as if to spite me, she actually activates Soul when she was at full HP on one of the enemies that killed her earlier. Which, Jesus Christ, rub salt in the wound, why don't you? But thankfully, the second time around, it doesn't go as poorly as the first, and we're actually able to dodge under 30% hits. Wow, amazing! After a little bit of progress into the chapter, Oyfe, Lester, and Delmond all appear from the west, ready to help. And for us, they're ready to just sit in the castle and never move again, because all 3 of them are on horses, which is a complete violation of our only rule. Now, before we send them all away, we do want to have Lester talk with Lana, as it'll be a conversation that results in her gaining a single point of luck because her brother cares about her, which is sweet. There's also a conversation between Oyfe and Seliph, but it doesn't actually do anything. It's just there to give Oyfe and Seliph a bit of a character moment, which, I mean, I appreciate, but this isn't exactly a run dedicated to character development. The trek eastward isn't really met with all that much difficulty. See, since the game knew you had virtually nothing but sword units, it threw nothing but axe units in your way. Awfully nice of you, game. And it also means that we can slaughter them all very easily. Larcei, Ulster, Seliph all pick up in roughly equal amount of kills as we go forward. However, I left Seliph the Paragon band before we ended Generation 1, so he's actually getting a bit more experience in him. Which is good, because we actually are able to use the person we need to put at all the castles now, so I just wanted to give him a little boost in damage power. But of course, bad RNG had to get us one more time before we ended this first segment. When fighting against the boss of the first castle, Larcei gets hit by a 5% and nearly dies in a single shot. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, getting hit by that 5% would somehow piss me off less than if the 10% chance for Pavice activated. It didn't. I guess it had its fill fucking with us for the first generation. But, don't worry. Pavice will be back. It always comes back. And after that first castle goes down, it is time for God to make his debut. Arthur, alongside Fee, shows up and is now ours to command. And thanks to pairing Title U off with Lewin, he's packing that Forseti right from the gate. Now, this is going to start by making him absolutely bonkers busted, but towards the end it's going to make it so that he can stay relevant, because Arthur has the same problem Azel has. He promotes into a horse mage, so hopefully Forseti's going to keep him relevant for the rest of the run. At the very least, Lewin's blood in his veins from level 1 means that boy is capping speed, with or without promotion gains. And with that out of the way, it's time to make our choice between which horny axe brother we want in our army more. Do we want Yohalavir, the powerful axe fighter turned into warrior? Or do we want Johann, the mounted... Oh wait, I guess that choice is easy, isn't it? Normally the choice is a bit interesting, as Johann has a mount, but Yohalavir is better at actually killing things. Most people just pick Johann, but I actually like Yohalavir a bit more. He's pretty fun to use in combat because the charge skill on an archer is super fun. Especially with Yohalavir's very high HP pool, he can definitely inherit some of Prince Jomke's will and shoot at something until it dies. But in this run, we don't have a goddamn choice. It's the non-mounted unit all the way. Plus, he gives us the better Nosferatu tome for Julia. Wait a minute, fuck, I didn't mention Julia at all, did I? After conquering the first castle, Lewin decides to abandon yet another child, which means we have to be Julia's family now. Julia's main claim to fame is an incredible magic stat, good at base and a 100% growth in it, so she's capable of ripping through enemies with her magic tomes and healing for virtually full with just a men's staff. Other than magic, her other stats are okay. Her resistance is pretty good, and her speed is alright. Her skill, defense tends to suffer, cause, she's a mage. So that's why recruiting Yohalavir is much better for us, because through him, we get the Nosferatu tome for her, which helps her survive by giving her some healing on the front lines. Conversely, if we took Johann, she gets the Aura tome, which, while it is a stronger weapon than Nosferatu, she'll be dead before she can fire it off as many times. So, good for us! Okay, with that all out of the way, it's time to actually kill Johann. His Axe Knights really don't provide that much of a problem, especially because everyone that can fight uses a goddamn sword. Unfortunately, Julia doesn't have her tome quite yet, so she and Lana are just going to be back there healing, but the combination of Ulster, Seliph, and Larcey is more than enough to deal with Johann's Axe Knights. It's not them that's the problem. What's interesting is what the fuck Yohalavir starts doing. Rather than just going forward to fight like he always does, Yohalavir decides to turn all of his men around to go chase after Arthur, who was just killing a bandit trying to terrorize his village. So this leads to an actually comical chase as, since they're not breathing down my neck, I just have Arthur go down south and draw all of Yohalavir's Axe Knights towards him, and then just meet him right before Johann's castle and just deal with them there. I don't know if this is a common thing that happens, but this was the first time I've ever seen this happen, and I'm gonna be honest, it was really funny. Once we're able to meet Yohalavir in the south, it's just a matter of killing as many of his men as possible before we talk to them. Now that might be making you think, but Steven, they join your side, why are you killing them? That's easy. Right now, I don't see them as people, I see them as experience. And when they become green units, I still don't see them as people, I see them as a hindrance, because remember, green units aren't people. And besides, Yohalavir doesn't seem to mind all that much that we just killed his men for experience points. I'm sure he understands. With him on our side, his green units decide to start the final phase of the battle for us, which really sucks, because now Seliph doesn't have a moment to go get Julia her tome. This battle is fairly simple. We have some forests right there, it's a bunch of Axe Knights, it's not all that different compared to what we had to go through with Johann. However, the difference is now we have Yohalavir, which is very nice because his Accost skill, or charge, sorry, translation means I always say the wrong goddamn name, is going to activate fairly frequently, because due to his high health pool, it's actually a fairly good chance of activating just at base. And with that, we're able to deal with things mostly unhindered. Mostly. See, the leader of this squadron of knights has a brave axe to drop, and that really only benefits Yohalavir, so I want to have him deal the killing blow. Unfortunately, that doesn't quite work out as well as I wanted to, so I ended up killing him with Arthur. What's funny is, in trying to reset because I didn't do what I wanted to do with the attack, I accidentally shrink my tab of the SNES emulator, and you can kind of see me in the background of OBS panicking as I was just trying to process what the fuck I just did. A little goofy behind the scenes action for you. Just thought y'all might appreciate that silliness. Once those knights are wiped out, it's just a matter of last moment of the chapter cleanups for us. I have Lana engage in some warp staff abuse, just like her mother, to give her a bunch of cheap level ups. I have Yohalavir and Larcey cling to each other and go around to villages, cause Yohalavir needs gold for that there brave axe. And pairings don't matter at all in Generation 2, like, they really fucking don't. So I just pair Yohalvir and Larcey up because I like them together. I think they're nice. Arthur kills the boss. There's really not a whole lot else that happens for the rest of the run here, with the exception of one small event I want to draw attention to. If you visit a specific village with Seliph in this chapter, the village elder will appear instead of whatever event normally happens, and he attempts to offer Seliph his daughter's hand in marriage. He gets all blushy and cute as he tries to process the situation rationally. This is just a fun, charming moment for Seliph's character, and while I do prefer Sigurd's tragic downfall for my lord of the game, Seliph's personality is very charming, and I definitely like scenes like this. It gives him a lot more charm, especially compared to the lords that came prior in terms of writing. Like, put him next to Fire Emblem 1 Marth or Alm or Celica, and he really does stand out a lot from that crowd. I don't know, just thought it was worth mentioning. And with that, we have successfully taken Infantry-only Fire Emblem 4 to the next generation. This chapter was much easier than the first chapter of the first generation, mainly because we have more than 2 fucking units we can use, and hopefully the rest of the game will follow suit. But that's certainly not going to happen next chapter, as we have to deal with Leaf defending an entire horde of armor knights all by his lonesome. And spoiler alert, it's actually a lot easier than you would think. I hope you all really enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think. As always, do the like, comment, and subscribe thing that I really should ask people to do more often. And I'll see y'all next time. Have a wonderful day, y'all.